It's the Fantasy Football Hustle. Welcome back, Brian Drake, Dwain McFarland. We are your hosts tonight, talking about all the fantasy relevant players being taken in the 2020 NFL Draft. This one hurts. If you guys watch the show, you know that I am a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, as seen by my shirt. And my partner, Dwain, is a Dallas Cowboys fan. I've been talking to Dwain all night about CeeDee Lamb and how he's going to slip and fall, and the Eagles can trade up and get him. Now he's a Dallas Cowboy. With the 17th pick, the Dallas Cowboys go and they add super wide receiver CeeDee Lamb out of Alabama. This kid is just a monster. In my mind, the best wide receiver in the draft. 6'3", 195, ran a 4.5 40. Another underrated thing that's going to be great for Dallas, Dwain, is our buddy Matt Waldman raves about how great a blocker he is. So you put him out on the field, great blocker for Ezekiel Elliott. You've got Amari Cooper. You know, you've got Michael Gallup. You know, don't worry, who cares about the tight end at this point? You got Zeke back there. Dak we could be staring at Dak as QB1. What a set of weapons now for this guy. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
You got to be over the moon. As a Dallas fan, forget fantasy. As a Dallas fan, you got to be happy as hell.
Oh, man, I am. I mean, and yeah, it's not just a fantasy thing. It's just everything we look at, all the analytics tell us that offense is just more important than defense. It doesn't mean that defense doesn't matter, but it's amazing what a great offense can do for a defense, right? If you can play from ahead all the time, you make the other team predictable, your average defense can now become very good. And I love what the Cowboys have done here. They've got a good offensive line. They obviously have a great running back that can help close out games. And now you've given Dak Prescott 3 really good targets. I mean, Amari Cooper does a lot of things super well. We've talked about him enough on the show in the past, but now you add a guy like CeeDee Lamb who can work inside, he can work outside. And he's a guy, when you watch him, you know, I don't think I gave him enough credit when I first started to watch players. And then plus when we had Matt on and he talked about him, you know, this is a guy that has a lot more subtlety to his game than people think. He's not just a run after the catch guy. You know, even if you look over at Pro Football Focus, and Mike Renner talked about the fact that, you know, CeeDee Lamb, you know, I think his quote was actually that, you know, he put Lamb is the most advanced wide receiver prospect I've seen since we started grading college players 6 years ago. That's not to say he's the best, but the little things about his position, he's got down pat. And that's, I think, the thing that's the most awesome about it. You know, it's a player that we know had great production. It's a player that broke out, you know, at a younger age. It's a player that, you know, did a lot of things in his college career. But when, you know, people that we love and trust, whenever they watch the film, they talk about this is a true pros pro. This is a guy that knows his craft. And so I'm super excited about it. Like you said, for Dak Prescott, I mean, the sky is literally the limit. I mean, this is a guy that already challenged last year, you know, for, you know, one of the top quarterback spots. And now you add another weapon for him. So, I mean, you've got Randall Cobb and Jason Witten gone, but you replace that with CeeDee Lamb. You know, I think overall that's a talent upgrade. I mean, nothing wrong with Randall Cobb, you know, but Jason Witten was at the end of his career. CeeDee Lamb, to me, you know, if he comes in, he shows to be a true professional, and he can play. He's a guy that can move all over the formation. They could allow you to move your other guys around in the formation as well. And man, just talk about his run after the catch, Drake. I know you've watched, you know, some of the highlights, like the things this guy did against, you know, the Longhorns, you know, literally surrounded by like 4 guys, you know, and just somehow comes out of all of them. So yeah, I'm super excited. The Cowboys offense is going to be really fun to watch. Mike McCarthy is going to look like a great coach, I think.
That's a great point. What a great hire. Look, he's unlocked Dak Prescott now. No, it's because you have insane weapons around him. I'm going to say this. Within 2 years, CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver on this team. He jumps over Amari Cooper here. And man, oh man, you wonder if they knew they could land Lamb, do they go out and do they try to extend Amari Cooper? If they knew they could get Lamb, I mean, now you got these 3 studs. You don't need them, to be honest. I mean,
I think it's a fair question. I do think that's a fair question. I think part of it, though, I mean, you invested a first-round pick to make a move for Cooper, so I feel like they may have even felt in their minds like they've got to get something back for it. The problem is, you know, they probably just waited, you know, too long, you know, to do something, you know, about it until, you know, they really didn't have any leverage, you know, left, you know, with Amari. They could still do something, you know, with Gallup, but for now, I'm just super excited about it because I love, you know, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a great route runner. He creates a ton of separation. You know, he's a good run after the catch guy. Now you get the same thing from Lamb, but I think Lamb he does some things that Amari can't do, down the field. So
does it
I'm
hurt
super excited
Amari
about
and
it.
Gallup a little bit now because you're splitting the pie so much with these three great athletes?
Well, here's the if you like Amari and if you like Gallup, I think here's the good news. Neither one of those guys were, they were both right at 20% of the targets last year. And so it was 19% to Cooper, 19% to Gallup. You had 13% to Cobb. You had 14% to Witten. So my thoughts are Amari and Gallup are good enough players on their own that they're going to probably stay right around that 20% mark. What I think this does is CeeDee Lamb is good enough that you probably don't have a bunch of upside to either one of those guys, where you could say, oh, wow, Amari is probably going to be around 20%. You project him there, but you think his upside's 25%. I don't think you can say that now. And that's not because, Amari's not good. He is, but CeeDee Lamb is really good as well. And the more you spread the ball around, the more unpredictable you are, the better your overall offense becomes, So I think that you'll both see them both right around 20%. If I were to project CeeDee Lamb right now tonight on the show, knowing nothing other than just where the Cowboys took him and what we know about him, I think you'll see him around the 15, percent, slice. You'll see Gallup around 20. You'll see Cooper around 20. I think what you'll see by year 2 is Gallup will be the third, and it'll be CeeDee Lamb as your number 2 or your number 1, to your point, in this offense. If he reaches his ceiling and eventually takes over as the top guy, on the team. Gallup's a nice player, but I watch every Cowboys game. I watch all, and I like him. He benefits a lot from the matchups that he gets because Cooper demands a lot of attention, and he's gonna be in an even better position now. And so, he's a good enough player to take advantage of one-on-one situations, and I think he'll continue, to do that. But I do think that Lamb brings an element that Gallup doesn't have, and so I think the surprise could happen is if Lamb all of a sudden just passes Gallup right out of the gate. I think Lamb is the guy that if you can take him later than those other two guys, he's the one that could have some upside based off of where we start his projections, in the preseason, because he's just coming into an offense where they're going to have a good plan for him. You've got a good quarterback. He's going to see a lot of single coverage. There's going to be some opportunities.
I'm vamping here because the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock, and they have selected Jalen Reagor, wide receiver from TCU. Everybody thought that they were going to go with Justin Jefferson. So our next little hit here will be us talking Eagles, and we're going to be talking another wide receiver, folks. So hang with us. We'll be back here. It's the Fantasy Football Hustle. Drake, Dwain, follow us. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
Subscribe.
We appreciate it.